Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome. This is Local Authors with Kameel Nasr. I am Kameel Nasr, and I have the really great pleasure of having a wonderful writer here, Clea Simon. I've read 3 of your books so far, and I really enjoyed them.
Thank you.
And so tell me, you're local. Were you born here in this area,
No,
or what?
I'm from New York originally, but now I live in Somerville after a long period in Cambridge.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And you have one thing that you write about, and what is that?
Well, I could say I just write mysteries, but I think what you're getting at is that all my mysteries to date have cats in them, and that's either a naturalistic cat who just does cat things, or a talking cat, or in my latest series, it's actually narrated by a cat.
Yeah, and you have cats. You've lived with cats. You grew up with cats, or what?
I did. I grew up actually with many animals. I had a pet toad at one point who I loved dearly. His name was Dwight. But since I've been an adult, I've had primarily cats, and now I have one cat, a senior black and white tuxedo cat, whose name is Musetta.
Yeah, yeah. Could I ask you something here?
Ask away.
People have said that dogs are much more loyal. No, you don't agree with that.
Well, I'll tell you, the way I see it, having a dog is in some ways like having a child. Having a cat is like having an adult roommate from another culture. You don't exactly speak the same language, but if you respect each other, you can learn a lot about each other. And also, of course, cats are very affectionate.
Yeah. So, do you know where were cats domesticated? Was it Asia?
Probably Asia and North Africa, because of course you have the great link between cats and Egyptian deities, Bast. The great goddess Bast.
Right, you're right. But I think dogs. I'm not a dog person or a cat person. I think dogs were domesticated before, and thus they're much more loyal or friendly or.
It's a different kind of relationship. People use dogs for hunting, and cats first came to our lives for independent hunting. When we first started domesticating wheat, you'd want cats in your granaries, but you would use a dog to go and take down large game for you to eat. So you wanted the dog to be sort of your boon companion right by you, whereas your cat kind of just coexisted with you.
Yeah, that's true. When Darwin, I'm sorry, I'm kind of a science guy, Darwin's theory of evolution, he started talking about breeding dogs. One of the things, dogs and horses, which are very important things, and also you have so many different types of dogs for hunting, for shepherding, and so on that were bred, and. So you write about cats, and you write from their point of view as well.
In this one series, in my new series, it's funny, I've run the gamut. My first series, I think we were talking earlier, you read one of those books, Mew is for Murder is the first of that series. There are 4 books in that series.
Right.
The cats are cats. They don't talk, they're just animals.
Yes.
And then in my next series, the Dulcie Schwartz series, which is this is the latest one of that.
Yeah. Put it up before
the gray.
Severn
House does a great job on the covers.
Right.
In that series, the cats were just cats, except that the heroine is studying Gothic literature, the Gothic literature of the late 1700s, and she has. She's mourning the death of her beloved cat, and the cat comes to her as a ghost. So that cat talks to her. And I have since started another series with The Ninth Life, in which, well, as you find out, the book is narrated by a cat.
Right.
So I've sort of run the gamut from cats who are simply animals to the cats who are now the narrators. So I like to think I do the whole spectrum of feline mysteries.
Well, I'd like you to read some of that in a little bit, but let's talk a little bit more about your writing and how it matured over the years. How long have you been writing? Were you like? Well,
I've been writing for as long as I remember.
Yeah.
But I worked as a journalist for many years, and I wrote my first 3 books were nonfiction, and about varying topics from mental health to my final nonfiction book, The Feline Mystique, was about cats. I've been writing mysteries my first mystery, Mew is for Murder, was published in 2005.
Right.
So this is now, and I actually forgot my other series, the Prue Marlowe series, where she can hear what animals are saying. So other people can't. So the animals are just animals, but she can hear what they're saying. But Ninth Life is my 20th mystery, and Into the Gray is my 21st.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, like Mew is for Murder, there was the person who was thought to be murder, or some people thought she was murdered, and some people thought there was an accident. Right.
Yeah.
And she was what would we call her, a cat lady who had many cats in her house?
Colloquially, you would say a cat lady or a cat hoarder. Now we call it animal hoarding, and that actually sprang out of my nonfiction book, The Feline Mystique, because I visited a woman who, was the classic person who takes in more animals than they can care for, and it's now seen as a form of mental illness. It might be related to OCD, because these people don't realize that they're doing themselves and the animals a disservice.
Right.
They think that they're taking care of them, and there's just a little disconnect there. And it often is very sad, but what I realized was that if somebody killed the cat lady, there would be a lot of suspects, because nobody likes the cat lady in their neighborhood. So I used that as the basis of a murder mystery. But of course, because it's a cozy mystery, as we call them, I then had to find a good home for all the cats.
So I wanted your thoughts about this, because I want to talk about cats. I want to talk about your writing too. But should cats be indoors?
Yes.
Yes, that's a very good point, because I have a country house somewhere.
Doesn't matter.
Pardon?
It doesn't matter. It's better for the cat. Cats live twice as long if you keep them indoors. Outside, there's, in the country, you've got natural predators, coyotes, fishers, hawks. Cats. There are man-made problems. Cats can get poisoned from various gardening things and automotive things. They can be hit by cars. And also on the flip side, cats are very good predators.
Yes, that's right.
And there's a lot of discussion about their effect on the bird population. But cats make great house pets, and they are happy. Cats, because they're obligate carnivores, they have short attention spans, basically. And so if you give a cat if you play with a cat a little bit, maybe give it a toy to throw a few minutes a day, and that's all the hunting they need to do.
Right.
And so your cat will live a happy, healthy life. Your birds will be happy. You'll be happier. You'll have your beloved pet longer. Keep your cat indoors.
Yeah, well, I'm really 100% agreed with you, because this cat that came to my house, and I guess there were kind of wild cats there.
Feral.
But
they're not wild, native to this area.
Yeah, this wasn't in this area, but so there were lizards around my house and some snakes and so on. And I saw after this cat was here, I fed it and maybe I shouldn't have done that, right?
Well, no, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing to feed it. But I noticed that
it would be great if you could take them indoors.
Yeah, but no, I noticed that the lizard population really decreased.
In our house, we have an infestation of brightly colored felt mice. And every now and then one gets loose. And Musetta kills them and brings them to us, and we congratulate her. And then amazingly they get loose again, and she kills them, and we can keep track of them because they're different colors. One is purple, one is orange, one is green. And she's very happy hunting them, and we're okay with them being killed. Yeah, they're just natural predators. But if you give them a toy, that keeps them busy.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Well, so please read from this wonderful introduction to the book. Do you need to say anything? No, you don't need to say anything about it.
I don't think so, because this is the opening of the book.
It's an opening of the book. So go ahead and read it, and I'll just be quiet and listen.
Sure, thank you. So this is the opening of The Ninth Life. At first they were shadows, bars before the sun, dark against the light. I could make out three, two browner mostly, and in between a taller figure, black and narrow. Three vertical lines against a dull white sky. But as I watch, they begin to waver, their outlines rippling and losing shape as the light around them dulls into the dusk, into the mud, receding from me as I go under, as I too begin to fade. No! I gasp, choking and begin to cough, breaking the surface with a desperate effort. Water in my mouth, my nose, burning my throat as I gag and and spit. I can't see, can't hear anything but my own ragged breath. I have broken through, but I cannot last. The cold is weighing on me, dragging me down. No, I cry in protest, my voice a wordless howl as I fight to stay afloat. Flailing, I gulp in air and swallow water, my last breath exploding from me in another cough. I am going numb, losing the fight. My own sodden limbs conspiring to drag me down. No! Hands grab me from behind, pulling at me, hauling me backward, ducking me. I kick and flail, find purchase beneath my feet and twist, lashing out. The loose gravel beneath me gives way to dirt, and I scrabble for balance as I turn, ripping myself loose from those hands to glare at the person now before me. Whoa! He steps back. She. I shake the water from my head, from my eyes. Her body slim as a boy's, but with a hint of curve, her hair ragged and short, dripping a strange shade of pink. Calm down, why don't you? I hiss, my throat too raw for words. I don't know this person, this girl, but I have felt the awful strength of those hands. Hands that reach for me now. I jump back without thinking, too exhausted for anything but pure instinct, and feel one foot slide back into the icy flood. On all fours like a beast, I pull myself out and shake off what water I can, all the while keeping my eyes on this stranger. This girl who now stares back is pale, her face as bloodless as I feel my own to be, her cheeks wet from the rain, her eyes red. Who is she, and how did I get here? I am panting. I catch myself, make myself regulate my breathing, needing to restart my frozen brain. I'd been sinking, drowning in some kind of torrent, a river or whirlpool, caught by a sudden flood, or had I been sabotaged, a victim of... No, it's all blank. All I have is what I can now see. This girl, this pink-haired one, has pulled me from the water. Had she also pushed me in? Children can be evil, though how I could have been so vulnerable stymies me. I struggle to remember those figures, 3 against the light. None of them had pink in them. A snort and then a gasp. I look up to see the girl covering her face with fingers bitten to the quick. A moment later, I see why as she makes a fist to wipe those red eyes. She's crying, the rain alone insufficient to camouflage her tears, and for the briefest of moments I regret my wordless anger. Have I hurt her as I shoved her off? Have I been ungracious to the person who may have saved my life? You'd think. She's muttering more to herself than to me. Her voice is soft. She's self-comforting rather than addressing me, but the cadence reveals some education, enough to be at odds with the worn clothing and the ragged hair. I strain forward to catch more, but there's something here. But she's crying again, and one hand shows an angry red welt where, I fear, I must have scratched her in my frenzy. I have hurt this girl, and all the evidence tells me that she may have saved my life. It was uncivil of me, and I am ashamed. She has sunk to the ground now and is sitting in the mud. The rain has let up, and her sobs are clearly audible above the water. Behind me, I hear the current, the flood, and shiver at the memory of its crushing cold. I look up at my companion. She's wiped her cheek with the back of her hand, and a faint smear of blood has been transferred, like war paint, under the pink thatch. She's a child for all her age, and shivering. My own body heat has begun to return to normal, and so I drag myself close beside her. She sniffs and turns to me, puts out one hand gingerly and waits. I lean in. The worn denim of her jeans is soft over her skinny leg, and she wraps an arm around me. Shared warmth makes for mutual comfort, and a rising tide of contentment begins to rumble through me. Who this girl is, I do not know. How I got here, I cannot yet answer. But as exhaustion takes me and my eyes grow heavy, I am struck by the oddest of thoughts. I have begun to purr. I am a cat.
Well, I told you that she was an excellent author, a wonderful writer, really, really good. But we found something else out, that you're a great actress too. So very well read. So yeah, it's just read from a completely different point of view, from the cat's point of view. Yeah. Do you think you got it right about cats, or? You've just been around it. You've just been around cats all the time. Yeah. You should kind of know what they feel.
Well, I hope I was trying for that sense of, you know how they have that sense of dignity.
Yeah.
And they have a very solid sense of themselves.
Right.
I feel sometimes like my cat looks at me like I'm, her less than intelligent child. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, Clea. Yeah. Uh-huh. So I tried to get that. But you know how it is. You're a writer as well. You're always trying to get.
Yeah.
You're always trying to get there, and you're never quite there. So it's always the next book.
How clean are cats?
Very.
They're very clean.
Yes.
Their mouths. Can you kiss a cat?
Well, they have no lips, so it would probably be it would probably be difficult. And I watch for their fangs. Yeah. I do like to kiss my cat on the top of her head, between her ears.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I don't think she'd like it if I kissed her elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so another aspect of your writing is that you're very flowing in your descriptions of people.
Thank you.
And
I try.
and yeah, where do you get your characters from?
Oh Lord, wow. I don't know. They reveal themselves to me, and often. It's funny because I did just send in a manuscript to my editor, and I'm waiting to hear back from her. But I clearly remember in this case, it wasn't until I was finished with the first draft that I realized what the book was really about. Yeah. And that's not specifically the character.
Yes.
But I realized there was a theme running through the book that I hadn't been aware of. And once I realized that, and then when I first went back to revise, the character was a lot more clear.
Yeah.
So I think.
It's a process of discovery, right? As you're writing, so. you discover the characters.
Yeah.
But do you think you have do you pick somebody and?
No, I sometimes I'll see somebody and I'll borrow something.
Yeah.
With the Dulcie books, I was doing research in Widener Library at Harvard, and I think it was when I was applying for a permit to go into the stacks, and I was inside and there was a window, and I saw a young woman, a student probably, outside, and it just hit me and I'd already started writing the book, but I saw her and I said, that's Dulcie. And so I borrowed things. I was like, oh, yes. She has sort of corkscrew curls,
right?
And she wears she wears a little beret.
Do you keep a notebook? I keep a notebook of people, and I'm sitting in an airport, and you're looking at someone, and you write down some things and
little phrases, and it's very smart of you to keep a notebook, because often I find I don't have paper, so I find myself writing on the back of ATM slips or.
Yeah, no, exactly the same thing. I always have a pen with me. You always have a pen,
I always
right?
have a pen,
all writers always have a pen, but not necessarily a piece of paper.
Recently, now that I have a smartphone, I find that I when I'm walking down the street, when I get ideas, this probably happens to you too, you can take notes.
Yes.
But what happens is I walked into I live right by Wine and Cheese Cask, and I walked into Wine and Cheese Cask, and I was saying to myself, because it was something I realized I needed to think about, what excuse does she have for not reporting the body? And I realized as people turned and looked at me, that it was that was something I wanted to come back to later, but out of context, it sounded a little odd.
Why murder mysteries? Why? You're a nice person,
Maybe I'm nice because I get it out in my books. Well, some people, there is a theory, this is not original for me, that people like mysteries because it's a chance to set the world right.
Exactly. Yes. I'm with that, because in the world, things the bad guy gets away. The bad guy gets recognition and so on, and justice doesn't happen. But we read mysteries because we want that justice to happen.
And sometimes justice may not always happen in a mystery. In fact, the book that I just turned in, it's unclear whether or not the murderer will be punished. But at least by the end, you understand what happened. So there's that kind of coming full circle and closure.
Right.
At least everything is now clear.
Right.
So I guess that's justice.
I write heist books now. So if someone came into my apartment and robbed me, right? I know that 90% chance that I'm not going to see the stuff that they robbed me of, right?
Yeah.
In the mystery, it's 90% chance that it's going to be solved. So we read this for that sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Do you write for a sense of satisfaction?
Oh, utterly, completely, yes.
Yeah.
It's fun to create this world. And one of the great things about writing series is that you don't have to leave it. It's always a bit of a death when you finish a book.
Yeah.
And you find, and partly it's you're afraid because you're sitting off and you don't have a chance to change it anymore, but partly you miss it.
So how many books are in the series? So tell us a little about that.
Well, The Theda Krakow series, which is Muse for Murder, is 4 books. The Prue Marlowe series is 6 books. The latest of that is When Bunnies Go Bad.
Yeah.
That started with Dogs Don't Lie. The Dulcie series, the Dulcie short series, the Into the Gray is the latest of these, is the 10th of these.
Wow. That's very prolific. So altogether, you have...
and then now Ninth Life is the first in this series, and As Dark as My Fur is... It's coming out this month in the UK, but it's it'll come out in the spring in the US.
Very prolific. So you've got what? I'm trying to do a head count. It's about 20 books.
I have 21 mysteries. Into the Gray is my 21st mystery, and 3 nonfiction books.
Oh, excellent.
Well, you keep writing them; they keep coming out.
So do you have you have a time you dedicate in the morning to writing, or do you close yourself off?
I'm more of an afternoon night person.
Oh, I see.
But what I do when I'm writing is right now I have just sent this manuscript off, so I'm sort of in this lull where I'm just waiting to hear, hoping that she likes it. I do a word count a day.
Oh,
that's my, and it's usually anything from, it's usually about 1,500 words a day.
1,500 words. That's a good amount of words.
Yeah,
well,
And that gives me, because I'm under contract, which is very nice. I'm very happy about that. It times out so that I have a rough draft and with enough time to put it aside and then read it through, and I'll read it through on paper. Yeah. And then make my corrections, print it out again, put it aside for another week.
And about how many edits do you go through? Do you think?
I try to do 2 revisions before I turn it in.
Oh.
That's what I did with this latest one.
That's very good. I tried to do about 10 or something.
Well, that's before I turn it in.
Oh, I see.
And then I hear back from my editor. And so and I hear back from my editor, then we go back and forth, and then it goes to the copy editor, and we hear back and forth, and then I get the page proofs, and I'm still changing things on page proof, which you're not supposed to do. But I try to do 2 full revisions before I even turn it in.
I see.
And I would do more if I had time.
So when you hear from your readers, what do they talk about? Do they talk about cats? What do they talk about?
Everything. What I usually ask, yes, before I send it even to my editor, I give it to my friends who are my readers. They'll tell me where they're confused. That's usually what I want to know. I don't necessarily want them to tell me.
No,
their solution,
I didn't mean your readers for editing. I meant your regular readers, people who
they want
say
to talk about cats.
They want to talk about cats.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that a very high percentage of your readers have cats, right? I don't, but I read them.
Thank you. Thank you for reading.
Yeah.
Either they have cats or they wish they had cats, like maybe they're allergic, or where they're living they can't have cats, but they like cats.
They like cats, yeah. I find it difficult to have pets because I travel so much, and it's I go overseas, and it's not right that I would have a cat.
So you can enjoy them vicariously.
Yes, I could enjoy. I enjoy other people's cats.
There you go.
Yeah. I'll come to your house and enjoy. What's your name of the cat?
Musetta.
Musetta. Okay.
She's named after the flirt in La Boheme. Yes. Yeah.
The Puccini character. Yeah. Are you an opera person?
Yeah.
Oh, so am I. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, well, so you write a lot, that's 1,500, that's like 6 double-spaced pages a day.
Because I don't print it out.
No, you don't print it out, but it comes out to that.
It depends. Sometimes when I'm starting, I'll let myself do 1,000 words. A day for like a week or 2. But once you gear up, and the key is that you can't leave your desk until you've written that amount.
Yes.
And if it's a low enough amount that you can almost always go over it, then you feel really proud of yourself.
Yeah. And so you keep yourself behind. Do you? No Facebook, no.
Yes, and then the day goes on, and it's 9:30, and my husband's sticking his head in my office and saying, "Do you want to have dinner?"
Who were some of your writing inspirations, the people that you kind of looked up to? Because I imagine you grew up reading and writing, right? You grew up. We have a degree in English or something?
In English, yeah.
In English,
Unlike Dulcie, I'm not a doctoral candidate. Never went that far. Well, I grew up on C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, and Edward Gorey. C.S. Lewis, the Chronicles of Narnia is probably why, one of the reasons I have such an affinity with cats. And since then, you know, I love Hilary Mantel, Jane Austen, Anthony Trollope.
All the greats.
All the greats, yeah.
Yes, that's right, yeah. And your current people around, do you do thrillers? Do you like...
I do. Sometimes when I'm writing, I can't read them. But in the space between, I can. I just finished.
You can't read them because they're influencing you. Yeah, that's right.
And so then I'll read something else. I love Sarah Waters' books.
Yeah.
So I can read her. I can read Hilary Mantel's novels. I always reread Trollope. There are a couple of books that I reread pretty regularly. I'm a big rereader just for comfort reading. For crime fiction, I love Laurie R. King. I just finished her The Bones of Paris. I love Donna Leon.
Yes.
Megan Abbott, who writes these really tough books.
I haven't read those, but interesting. Yeah. And you're kind of a central figure in the community of.
Well, I'm in the community. I'm not central. But.
You're not central. I thought you were like in Sisters of Crime.
Oh, I am.
Yeah, you're a central figure.
It's a very nice, tight knit community. I'm in Sisters in Crime, which is open to men also.
Yes.
You know, you remember, you're a brother in crime. And Mystery Writers of America, and especially in this area, it's a really vibrant, great group, and we do a lot of events. Well, like you came to Cozy at the Cafe, which we're going to do again in April, that's based on Noir at the Bar, which is now a national thing where noir writers will get together and read little bits and take questions. And so we started, Tony Kellner, who's a great local writer, started Cozy at the Cafe, where it's cozy writers, and we get together and read little bits and do giveaways and stuff.
It was so nice to have you here and share your obvious wonderful love of writing and your great writing ability. Thank you so much,
It's
Clea
been wonderful
Simon.
to have
it's
you.
great.
I have to be here. Thank you for having me.